Um, so we were studying about the ecosystems. So in the last class, we have studied about the carbon cycle, the oxygen cycle, and the nitrogen cycle, even the energy cycles, and what is the connection between like the herbivore, the carnivore animals, and the fungi or any other species about the food web and the food chain. So let's start uh, with the grassland ecosystem. So, what is a grassland ecosystem? There's a wide range of landscape in which the vegetation is mainly in the form of grasses and small annual plants are adapted to India's various climatic conditions. These form a variety of grassland ecosystem with their specific plants and animals. Grassland covers area where its rainfall is usually low and or the soil depth and the quality is poor. The low rainfall prevents the growth of a large number of trees and shrubs but is sufficient to support the growth of grass cover during the monsoon. Many of the grasses and other small herbs become dry and the part above the ground dies during the summer months. In the next monsoon, the grass covers grows back from the root stock and the seeds of the previous year. This change gives grassland a highly seasonal appearance with period of increased growth followed by dormant phase. A variety of grasses, herbs, and several species of insect, birds, and mammals have evolved so that they are adapted to these wide open grass covered areas. These animals are able to live in conditions where food is plentiful after the rains so that they can store this as fat that they use during the dry periods when there is very little to eat. Man began to use these grasslands as pastures to feed his livestock. When he began to domesticate animals and become pastoralist in ancient times. Grasses type in India. So grasslands form a variety of ecosystems that are located in different climatic conditions ranging from near desert condition to patches of shallow grasslands that acquire on hilltop alongside the extremely moist evergreen forest in South India. In Himalayan pastures, these are tract of tall elephant grasses in the low-lying Terai belt south of the Himalayan foothill. There are semi-arid grassland in western India, parts of central India, and in Deccan Plateau. The Himalayan pasture belts extend up, extend up to the snow line. The grassland at a lower level from patches along with the conifers or broadleaf forest. Himalayan wildlife require both the forest and the grassland ecosystem as important part of their habitat. The animals migrate up into the high altitude grassland in summers and move down in the forest in the winters when the snow covers the grassland. The Himalayan pastures have a large variety of grasses and herbs. Himalayan hill slopes are covered with thousands of colorful flowering plants, and there are also large numbers of medicinal plants. The Terai consists of patches of tall grassland uh, interspersed with a salt forest ecosystem. The patches of tall elephant grass, which grows to the height of about 5 meters, are located in low-lying, waterlogged areas. The sal forest patches cover the elevated region and the Himalayan foothills. The terrain also includes marshes and low-lying depressions. This ecosystem extends as a belt south of the Himalayan foothills. The semi-arid plains of western India, central India, and Deccan are covered by grassland tracts with patches of thorn forest. Several mammals such as wolf, the blackbird, the chinkara, and the birds such as the bustards and floricans are adapted to these arid conditions. The scrublands of Deccan Plateau are covered with seasonal grasses and herbs on which its fauna is dependent. It is teeming with insect life on which the insectivorous birds feed. What are the Shola grasslands? The Shola grasslands consist of patches on the hill slope, along with the Shola forests are on the Western Ghats, Nilgiri, and Annamalai ranges. This forms a patchwork of grassland on the slope and forest habitat along the streams and lowing areas. Grasslands are not restricted only to low rainfall areas. Certain grassland types form when clearings are made in different forest types. Some are located on higher steep hills with patches of the forest that occurs along the streams and in depression. The grasslands are related to repeat factors that do not permit the forest to grow. How these grasslands are used? Grasslands are the grazing area of many rural communities. Farmers who keep their cattle or goats, as well as shepherds who keep sheep, are highly dependent on grassland. Domestic animals are grazed in the common land of the village. Fodder is collected and stored to feed cattle when there is no grass left for them to graze in summer. Grass is also used to thatch houses and farm sheds. The thorny bushes are branches of the few trees that are seen in the grassland are used as a major source of fuel wood. What are the threats to grassland ecosystem? In many areas, grasses have been used centuries as by pastoral communities. Overutilization and changes in the land use, like common grazing lands of rural communities, have led to their degradations. The grassland covers in the country, in the terms of permanent pastures, now covers only 3.7% of the land. A major threat to natural grassland is conversion of grassland into rigid farmlands. The grasslands have limited ability to support domestic animals and wildlife. Increasing this pressure by increasing the number of domestic animals reduce the naturalness of the grassland ecosystem, leading to its degradation. Now, how can we conserve it? So, grassland should not be overgrazed, and areas of the grassland should be closed for grazing. It is better to collect grass for stall feeding cattle. A part of grassland in an area must be closed every year so that rotational grazing pattern is established. Fires must be prevented and rapidly controlled. In hilly areas, soil and water management in each micro-catchment helps in grassland to return to a natural, highly productive ecosystem. To protect the most natural, undisturbed grassland ecosystem, sanctuaries and national parks must be created. Their management should focus on preserving all their unique species of plants and animals. Thus, they should not be converted into plantations of area. The open grassland is the habitat of its specialized fauna. Planting trees in these areas reduce the natural features of ecosystem, resulting the destruction of unique habitat for wildlife. The next is desert ecosystem. Desert and semi-arid lands are highly specialized and sensitive ecosystems that are easily destroyed by human activities. These species of these dry areas can live only in this specialized habitat. Desert and semi-arid regions are located in western India and the Deccan Plateau. The climate in these vast tracts is extremely dry. There are also cold deserts such as in Ladakh, which are located in high plateaus of Himalayas. The most typical desert landscape that is being seen is Rajasthan is the Thar Desert. This has sand dunes. There are also areas covered with sparse grasses and few shrubs which grow if it rains. In most of the area of the Thar, the rainfall is scanty and sporadic. In an area, it may rain only once every few years. In the adjoining semi-arid tract, the vegetation consists of a few shrubs and thorny trees such as khed and baboon. The Great and Little Run of Kutch are highly specialized arid ecosystems. In the summer, they are similar to desert landscape. However, these are low-lying areas near the sea. They get converted to salt marshes during monsoons. During period, they attract an enormous number of aquatic birds such as duck, geese, cranes, storks, etc. The Great Run is famous as it is the only known breeding colony for the greater and lesser flamingo in our country. The Little Run of Kutch is only home of the wild ass in India. So, how this semi-arid or desert ecosystem is used? As the areas of scanty vegetation with semi-arid, they have been used for camel, cattle, and goat grazing in Rajasthan and Gujarat, and for the sheep grazing in Deccan Plateau. Areas that have a little moisture, such as along the watercourses, have been used for growing crops such as jowar and bajra. The natural grasses and local varieties of crops have adapted to growing at very low moisture level. These can also be used for genetic engineering and developing arid land crops for the future. And how these ecosystems can be conserved. We have to maintain the ecological balance that forms a habitat for their plants and animals, which cannot be easily disturbed. And a desert, people may traditionally protect their major uh, water resources, and the Bishnois in the Rajasthan are known to have protected their khejuri trees and the blackbucks antelopes for several generations. The tradition began when the ruler of their region ordered his army to cut down the trees for his own use. Several Bishnois were said to have been killed while trying to protect their trees. There have been development projects alters the desert and the arid landscape. There is a sharp reduction in the habitat available for its specialized species, bringing them to the verge of extinction. We need a sustainable form of development that takes the special needs of the desert into the account. So that's it. We are left with marine ecosystem, and then we'll switch to the next topic, which is biodiversity. Thank you, guys.